Three newspapers in the San Francisco Bay Area received letters in late July of 1969. Each envelope contains 1/3 of a coded message written in rows of symbols, circles with dots, triangular squares, letters turned sideways. Along with the cipher comes a typed note. The writer claims responsibility for 2 attacks. He demands that the cipher be printed on the front page of each paper. If they refuse, he says he will go on a killing rampage. The tone is calm, deliberate, threatening. The letters are signed with a circle containing a cross. No name is given yet, but the demand is clear: publish or more people die. The editors face an impossible choice: print the message and give a killer exactly what he wants, or refuse and risk being blamed for what happens next. They print the letters. Within days, a schoolteacher and his wife in Salinas crack the code. The message is disturbing but vague. It contains boasts about murder and claims about collecting souls for the afterlife. It promises that the writer's identity will be revealed in the cipher. That promise turns out to be a lie. The code reveals nothing useful. The police have no name, no face, no clear lead. What they do have is confirmation that someone out there is watching, writing, and wants the world to know. But before those letters arrived, before the cipher was ever mailed, there were already victims. The story does not begin with the symbols. It begins with 2 quiet roads and 2 attacks that seemed, at first, unrelated. On the night of December 20th, 1968, 2 teenagers park on a gravel turnout on Lake Herman Road in Benicia, a dark stretch used by couples looking for privacy. David Faraday and Betty Lou Jensen are sitting in a Rambler station wagon when someone approaches. Witnesses driving by notice another car parked nearby earlier that evening. The scene is isolated: no homes, no streetlights, just open fields and the sound of wind. Sometime around 11 that night, both teenagers are shot. Betty Lou is found lying on the ground outside the passenger side. David is slumped inside the car. Both are dead when police arrive. Casings from a .22 caliber weapon are recovered. There is no sign of robbery, no sexual assault, no clear motive. Investigators treat it as a possible Lover's Lane attack. They have no suspect. They have no witnesses to the shooting itself. The case goes cold. 7 months later, on the 4th of July in 1969, another couple is attacked in a parking lot at Blue Rock Springs Golf Course in Vallejo, just a few miles from the first scene. Darlene Ferrin and Michael Mageau are sitting in a car when another vehicle pulls up beside them. The driver gets out, shines a flashlight into the car, and opens fire with a 9mm handgun. Darlene is killed. Michael survives despite being shot multiple times. He describes the attacker as a stocky man, but the description is limited, and the trauma makes details unclear. Police initially see this as a separate case. The location is different. The weapon is different. There is no obvious connection to the Lake Herman Road murders. Then the letters arrive. In the first letter sent to the newspapers, the writer provides details about both attacks that only the killer would know. He describes the ammunition used at Lake Herman Road. He mentions the brand of ammunition used at Blue Rock Springs. He states the positions of the victims and the timing of the shots. Law enforcement realizes they are dealing with the same offender. The crimes are now linked not by evidence alone, but by confession. And that confession is public. The killer has bypassed the police entirely and spoken directly to the press and the public. He has set the terms. He has chosen the audience. And he has made it clear that this is not over. 2 crimes, no suspect, and then the letters arrive. The shift happens in late July when the 3 newspapers print the cipher and the accompanying threats. Suddenly, the investigation is no longer driven by forensic evidence or witness statements. It is driven by correspondence. The offender is no longer reacting to police pressure. He is creating it. He is setting deadlines. He is making demands. And he is doing it all in front of thousands of readers. The case moves from the crime scene to the front page. Authority is inverted. Police are no longer hunting him. He is managing them. The decision to publish is not made lightly. Editorial boards debate the ethics and the risks. Some argue that printing the letters gives the offender exactly what he wants. Others argue that withholding them could lead to more violence. In the end, fear wins out. The cipher is printed. The public reads it. Amateur code breakers flood the police with theories. Some are helpful, most are not. On August 8th, Donald and Betty Harden, a teacher and his wife, solved the cipher using frequency analysis and pattern recognition. The message is rambling and eerie. The writer talks about hunting humans, collecting slaves for the afterlife, and enjoying the act of killing more than any other experience. He says that killing gives him the most thrilling experience of his life. He mocks the police, he taunts the reader, but he does not reveal his name. That was the lie. The cipher was bait, and everyone took it. A few days after the cipher is published, another letter arrives. This one is longer. The tone is more confident. The writer responds to public skepticism by providing even more details about the crimes. Details that confirm his involvement beyond any doubt. And then, for the first time, he gives himself a name. He writes, "This is the Zodiac speaking." From that point forward, the letters are signed with that name. The symbol becomes secondary. The identity, even though it is false, becomes sure. He is no longer just a suspect or an unknown offender. He is Zodiac, and that name will outlast every lead, every suspect, and every theory. The effect on the public is immediate. People stop parking on dark roads. Parents keep their children inside after dark. The newspapers receive calls from readers who are terrified, angry, or obsessed. Some demand more police action. Others want the letters to stop being printed, but the letters keep coming, and each one shifts the power further away from law enforcement and deeper into the hands of the writer. He controls the narrative. He controls the timing. He controls the fear. The police can only respond. They cannot predict. They cannot prevent. And they cannot catch him. The psychological profile that begins to form around the letters is one of deep manipulation. This is not someone acting on impulse. This is someone who plans, who observes, who waits. The crimes themselves are brutal, but not chaotic. The letters are carefully written, dated, and mailed at specific intervals. The choice to send them to multiple newspapers ensures maximum exposure. The use of ciphers creates mystery and invites engagement. The taunts directed at police are designed to humiliate and provoke. Everything is calculated, and the calculation works. By the end of the summer, Zodiac is not just a suspect in 2 murders. He is a public figure, a symbol of fear, a media phenomenon, and he has only just begun. Now he is not just committing crimes, he is directing the investigation. On September 27, 1969, the pattern changes. A young couple, Brian Hartnell and Cecilia Shepard, are picnicking on the shore of Lake Berryessa in Napa County. The area is remote and quiet, surrounded by hills and water. Around mid-afternoon, a man approaches them. He is wearing a homemade costume. A black executioner-style hood covers his face. A white circle with a crosshair symbol is stitched onto the chest of his dark clothing. The symbol matches the one used in the letters. He is carrying a gun and a knife. He speaks calmly. He tells them he is an escaped convict and needs their car and money. He orders them to lie face down on the ground. Brian complies, trying to keep the situation calm. The man ties them up with pre-cut lengths of clothesline. Then he puts the gun away, and he pulls out the knife. He stabs both victims repeatedly. Cecilia is attacked first. Brian tries to shield her and is stabbed in the back. The assault is prolonged, methodical, and silent. When it is over, the man walks to their car. On the door, he writes a message in black marker. He lists 3 dates: September 27th, July 4th, December 20th. He writes the times of the attacks. He adds the word "by knife" next to the current date. Then he draws the circle and cross symbol, and he leaves. Brian survives. Cecilia dies 2 days later from her injuries. Before she loses consciousness, she gives a description of the attacker and his clothing. Investigators find the car with the writing still fresh. They also find a call made shortly after the attack from a payphone in Napa. The caller reports a double murder on Lake Berryessa and gives the location. The voice is calm, almost bored. He hangs up before police can trace the call. Fingerprints are later found on the payphone. They are entered into the system, but they do not match anyone on file. This attack is different. The costume suggests premeditation and theatricality. The knife represents a shift from guns to close-contact violence. The message on the car is a direct claim of authorship. It connects this crime to the previous 2. It establishes continuity, and it shows that Zodiac is willing to appear in daylight, in public view, and take greater risks. The Berryessa attack is not about efficiency. It is about demonstration. He wants to be seen. He wants to be remembered. And he wants credit. 2 weeks later, on October 11, 1969, the violence moves into the city. A cab driver named Paul Stine picks up a passenger in downtown San Francisco. The passenger asks to be taken to the Presidio Heights neighborhood. The cab stops at the corner of Washington and Cherry Streets. Witnesses living nearby hear a gunshot. They look out their windows and see a man in the back seat leaning forward. They see him wipe down the interior of the cab. They see him tear a piece of fabric from the driver's shirt. Then he exits the cab and walks north on Cherry Street. Calm, deliberate, unhurried. Police are called. A description is radioed out. Officers are dispatched to the area. 2 patrol officers spot a man walking a few blocks away who matches the general description. White male. Stocky, build glasses, light-colored jacket. They stop and speak to him briefly. He tells them he saw someone running in the opposite direction. The officers let him go and continue searching. Later after, the suspect description is refined. Those same officers realize they may have spoken to the killer. The man they let go matches the updated details almost perfectly. But by then he is gone. Paul Stine is found dead in the front seat, shot once in the head at close range with a 9mm weapon. A section of his shirt is missing. Days later, a letter arrives at the San Francisco Chronicle. It includes a piece of blood-stained fabric. The fabric matches the shirt worn by Paul Stine. The letter taunts the police for their failure to catch him. The writer describes watching officers search the area while he stood nearby. He says he could have been caught, but the police are too incompetent. He mocks their radio communications and their response time. He also mentions plans to target a school bus. He describes shooting out the tires and picking off the children as they run. He refers to this as his ultimate thrill. The threat is graphic, specific, and terrifying. Schools in the Bay Area go into lockdown mode. Parents panic. The press amplifies the fear. But the threat is never carried out. The letter may have been written purely to provoke, or he may have changed his mind. Either way, the damage is done. The fear is real, and Zodiac has once again controlled the outcome without firing a shot. The Presidio Heights murder marks a turning point. It is the first confirmed urban attack. It involves a witness-rich environment. It demonstrates boldness and luck in equal measure, and it produces the most damning piece of evidence the police will ever have, the shirt fragment. But even with physical evidence, with fingerprints, with witness descriptions, no arrest is made. The case begins to fragment. Leads multiply, tips flood in. Suspects are questioned and cleared. The investigation grows larger and more chaotic, and Zodiac continues to write. At this point, fear spreads beyond the victims. It reaches the police themselves. Throughout 1970, the letters keep coming. Some are long and detailed. Others are short and cryptic. In one, Zodiac claims to have killed more people than the 5 confirmed victims. He provides no proof in another. He includes a bomb diagram and threatens to blow up a school bus. He provides crude schematics and describes how the device would work. Authorities take the threat seriously, but no bomb is ever found. In April, Zodiac sends a letter to the San Francisco Chronicle that includes another cipher, this one much longer than the first. It is composed of over 300 symbols and remains unsolved for decades. In June, Hay writes again, this time targeting a journalist named Paul Avery, who has been covering the case extensively. Zodiac warns Avery that he is in danger. The letter is chilling in its specificity. Avery begins wearing a button that reads, "I am not Paul Avery," in public. He continues reporting, but with heightened caution. The press eats it up. The case becomes a media circus, and Zodiac feeds off the attention. Around this time, investigators begin looking into older unsolved cases. One case that draws attention is the 1966 murder of Cherry Jo Bates in Riverside. Cherry Jo was a college student who was attacked and killed near the campus library. Her car had been tampered with. She was stabbed repeatedly in a brutal assault. Months after her death, letters were sent to the police and the press claiming responsibility. The letters were unsigned, but the tone and phrasing were similar to the Zodiac letters. One letter included the phrase, "She had to die, there will be more." Investigators find a watch at the scene with a broken wristband. Some believe it may have belonged to the attacker. Handwriting analysis is conducted. Some experts see similarities between the Bates letters and the Zodiac letters. Others are skeptical. Decades later, DNA testing and further analysis suggest that Cherry Jo Bates was likely killed by someone else. The connection remains debated, but at the time, it adds to the growing list of possible crimes attributed to Zodiac. The uncertainty only deepens the frustration. As the investigation drags on, one suspect rises above the rest. Arthur Lee Allen is a former elementary school teacher living in Vallejo. He is brought to the attention of police after a friend reports disturbing conversations. Allen allegedly talked about hunting humans and referred to himself using language similar to the Zodiac letters. He owned weapons. He was familiar with ciphers and codes. He had been in the areas where the crimes occurred. When questioned, Allen is cooperative but evasive. Searches of his home turn up suspicious items, including bloody knives and diagrams, but nothing conclusive. Handwriting samples do not match the Zodiac letters. Fingerprints do not match those found at the crime scenes. A witness who survived one of the attacks is shown a photo lineup that includes Allen. The witness does not identify him, despite years of scrutiny, multiple searches, and intense media focus. Arthur Lee Allen is never charged. He dies in 1992. Some investigators remain convinced he was Zodiac. Others believe he was just a disturbed individual who happened to fit parts of the profile. The truth remains unclear. Other suspects emerge over the years. Some are named publicly. Others are investigated quietly. None result in charges. The case becomes a magnet for amateur sleuths, true crime enthusiasts, and conspiracy theorists. Books are written, documentaries are made, films are produced. The Zodiac case becomes one of the most analyzed unsolved mysteries in American criminal history. And, through it all, the letters remain the most compelling evidence. They are studied, debated, and dissected, but they do not yield a name. Despite everything, despite the letters, the CODIS, the witnesses, no one is ever charged. The crimes stop. The confirmed murders end in October 1969. The letters continue sporadically into 1974. Then they stop as well. There is no announcement, no final message, no closure, just silence. Theories abound. Some believe Zodiac died or was incarcerated for another crime. Others think he simply stopped and disappeared into ordinary life. The case officially remains open. Investigators continue to follow leads as they emerge. Advances in forensic technology, including DNA analysis, have allowed for re-examination of evidence. But so far, nothing has led to an arrest. Horror. In 2020, a team of codebreakers finally solved the second major cipher sent by Zodiac in 1970. The message was disturbing, but offered no new clues about identity. It talked about death fear and the desire to control. It confirmed what was already known. Zodiac wanted attention. He wanted power, and he got both. The damage he caused is not limited to the lives he took. It extends into the fear he spread, the investigation he manipulated, and the public obsession he cultivated. He turned murder into performance. He turned communication into control. And he demonstrated that sometimes the most effective weapon is not violence, but the threat of it. The Zodiac case is not just a story about unsolved murders. It is a story about the limits of law enforcement, the power of media, and the lasting impact of fear. Decades later, people still search for answers. They still analyze the letters. They still propose theories, and the case still waits. The crimes stopped. The letters ended, but the questions never did.